So yesterday we talked about whether or not a Dragonborn's death would trigger the release of all the souls that he absorbed, and I kind of want to expand a little bit on that with the topic: would the Dragonborn be able to maybe use his own souls, the souls that he's carrying, the dragon souls he's carrying, to revive the dragons that he sees around? You know, if he could use the shout that Alduin uses to revive other dragons. It's really the question. But to do that, we're going to have to touch on the most fundamental, basic understanding, I guess, of how this sort of magics work. And I guess even more specifically, what the Dragonborn actually is. Because there also seems to be some discussions on the comments and some misunderstandings of what the Dragonborn, the main protagonist of Skyrim, actually is. So what he is a human. He's a mortal with the blood and soul of the dragons. Now, the soul of a dragon, we understand it to be immortal. It's an entity, the soul that is of the actual dragons, an entity that stays on the planet regardless of how much ever time has actually passed. You know, the dragons that died in the War of the Dragons, they stayed just floating around, I suppose, until eventually Alduin revived them, which we have to assume is a process that unifies the soul with the body and then just somehow puts that barrier that we talked about yesterday, puts that barrier back and then reconstitutes the body. So the protagonist of the game has a soul like this, a soul that is somehow able to stay on the planet. But I think one of the most important things is also the blood of the dragons, because they specify the blood and soul of the dragon. Now, you might ask yourself, what does that imply, having the blood of a dragon? It's interesting, and we did talk about this a couple episodes back. I don't know, that could have been maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago maybe. Having the blood of the dragons might imply that, you know, it might give a reason as to why the Dragonborn is stronger maybe than other normal humans, maybe why he's able to heal so fast. But it could also imply that if his body were to be destroyed, maybe Alduin himself could potentially revive the Dragonborn like a dragon because he possesses the blood that, you know, I don't know. It's one of those things to think about. I think the fact that he has the blood of the dragons is something that gets overlooked, and it might have potential meaning in the future. I don't know, Elder Scrolls game, if it's ever, you know, brought back. But let's go back to what we were talking about here. So this is what the Dragonborn is. Now, the Dragonborn is able to use the shouts, the voice, like dragons do. So what exactly is the voice? What exactly are shouts? And this is obviously crucial if we want to find the answer to this question. The shouts are primordially separated into two main categories, right? You have the actual words that you're spouting and then the understanding of it. So let's go back to the words. The words that you're using, it really comes down to the fact that for every magical thing that happens in Skyrim, and honestly this is something that happens in most fantasy games, high fantasy usually, where if you're going to cast a magic spell, there has to be a physical movement of sort. There has to be something that you're doing with your body that kind of lets the magic know that you want to unleash it, right? So if you're a mage in Skyrim and you want to cast fire, what do? Well, you outstretch your arm to start casting the spell. You're not going to just cast your spell with your hands in your pocket. It's not usually how it works. And I say usually because sometimes it changes. But if you play The Witcher, for example, you see Geralt using those hand signs to cast those different spells that the Witchers have, right? There's always something that magical users do to start casting a spell. And this is where the words kind of come into place. There has to be a movement in your, I guess, vocal cords that signify specifically what spell you're trying to use. And that's what the words are. You need to figure out what the actual vocabulary, or I guess in this case, you know, like how you have runes of power that somehow the drawing in the floor has magical properties. Like there is a signal, a sign with what it is that you're saying that signifies specifically what spell you're using. And that's what pretty much the words of power are. You need to figure out And in this case, we would have to figure out exactly what words Alduin is muttering when he's reviving these people. And that's the easy part, because then it's just a matter of like either looking at the words or just straight up hearing him say the words. But that's not the hard part. The hard part is the actual understanding of the word. And this is the part that I feel like is the most interesting out of the whole shouting system and this whole, honestly, revolutionary way of looking at magic from Bethesda. It's incredible, really. So the way it works is you need to understand the word. So it's not just about saying it, you have to understand what the word means. And we're not just talking about like the dictionary definition of a word. We're not just talking about the translation of the word. Like if you're gonna cast Fus Roda, it's not just about knowing what Fus Roda translates into English, you know? It's not just about saying like, oh, well, I mean, Fus is force and, you know, balance or whatever. Like that's not it at all. You have to know, and I like to use this word when describing what I'm trying to say right now, baggage. You need to understand the baggage of the word, what the meaning of the word truly implies. Because it's not just meaning at this point, it's imply. You're implying something when you say these words, right? And an example that I like to use is the N word, which of course I'm not going to pronounce, but the N word is more than just the blank statement of what it means. You know, first of all, obviously you have to know what the N word stands for, but it's more than that. You have to know you have to know more than the actual definition, the dictionary definition of what the N word is for you to be able to truly know what the N word means. You know, there's baggage to that word. There is a hidden meaning to the N word. And you need to know what that hidden meaning is, what the history of this word is, and how and in what context it is used for you to truly know the meaning of the N-word, right? And it's literally like that for Skyrim. It's not just about knowing what the word is or what the bullshit husk meaning is. You have to know the true hidden value of the word. Imagine like, and this is another example I like to use. Let's pick up a random word like a name, Catherine, right? So to me, the name Catherine means nothing. I mean, I know a few persons named Catherine. I know there's a game called Catherine, which by the way is awesome. But to someone out here in the audience in chat right now, Catherine probably means a lot. Maybe your mom is named Catherine. Maybe you have an ex-girlfriend named Catherine, which you had a really horrible breakup with. So when I say the word Catherine, to you it means the world. Suddenly maybe you can start crying, or maybe you get happy when I say the word. But to me it means nothing, right? So these words, even though you know that Catherine is it's a name, and you know of people named Catherine, to some others, just the name Catherine can mean a lot of things and could have a lot of hidden meaning and could create a lot of hidden emotions in you. That is Skyrim. It's not just about what you think the meaning of a word is, or Arngeir's meaning of the word is. It's what the meaning of the word is to the planet. You see, the planet of the Nirn here in the world of Skyrim, it's a living entity. You see, this world was created with magic. Magnus came here and he architected the whole thing, created this world, and he used, you know how if you're a mage and you start a game, and you're casting your flame spell, you're literally creating fire with magicka. You're spending magicka to create the element of fire. That's what the world, that's how the world was created, using magicka to literally create earth and water and fire and air, etc. It's for all intents and purposes a living entity, right? And the thing is, this world was created with schematics. There are rules that are being followed here by the planet that were predestined, pre-created. The world, it's almost like a machine, right? And it's interesting because the world has meaning for the words that you're saying. When I say the word force or fus, to me that means something. To Arngeir trying to teach me the meaning of it, he may have his own definition, but to the world, that word could mean something super deep and meaningful. You know, if I were to say Catherine to the planet will have its own understanding of the world, of the word, and that's the understanding that I need to tap into. It's not just about some bullshit guy in the middle of nowhere and what he thinks Catherine means. It's about the planet. I need to figure out what the planet thinks of the word Catherine. I hope the metaphor here it's been understood, but you need to figure out what the planet thinks of the word, and when you do that is when you can finally truly use the magic. And if you don't really full on follow me here, this is the last example I'm going to use. Imagine when you're trying to run a program in your computer and the computer doesn't let you. It says you need administrator privileges to run this program. That's literally the definition of you trying to use a shout but not really knowing what it means. The world is not going to let you use its powers because you don't have the privilege for that. But knowing the meaning of the word is like knowing how to circumvent that and right-click the program and say, run as administrator. You know, now the program, the Windows, the Apple, the world, the universe is allowing you to have the privilege of running this power by running it as administrator. It's literally what it is, right? Because this power, the ability to create tornadoes and slow down time and you know, I don't know, man, tsunamis, like all of these things that, you know, creating fire, all these things that come out of shouts is really the power of the world. And you are using it when you shouldn't because you have the ability to understand how the world works. You remember in Heroes, that show Heroes, Sylar's ability to understand how things work? It's kind of like that in some way. You can do things that are not really possible because you have the ability to understand how the gears turn, which it's incredible. It's honestly mind-blowingly incredible just how this whole magical system works. But that's the information that you need to know to be able to cast these shouts. And so let's go back to the Dragonborn. If the Dragonborn knows the words of power that Alduin uses to revive dragons, and he understood the meaning of those words, which again brings me back to my other point, actually the meaning of the planet. It's interesting that Alduin understands how to revive people, right? It's not just that he knows the words of power, he understands the meaning of actually reviving someone from the dead. You know, there's a principle of life and death that Alduin truly understands. He knows something about life and death that nobody else knows. A severe, deep understanding of how things really do work. Alduin knows it, so he knows how to abuse it. Maybe Hermios Mora knows it too, probably Akatosh as well, of course. But it's interesting because Akatosh was the creator of time, in some way. He's the dragon of time. So there might be something tied up with time regarding death and life, which obviously you can feel the connection, makes sense, right? Time kills you in some way. Maybe he has a way of restoring time back in order, you know, like maybe some going back in time in one particular person. I don't know. Regardless of whatever the meaning, the hidden meaning of life and death is that Alduin knows, if the Dragonborn were to know it, so if he were to kill Alduin and absorb his essence and really get to the bottom of what it means to be alive or dead, yes, I believe he could return a dragon to life. That's really the end of of the video. I believe he would be able to. If he could kill Alduin and absorb his life and really kind of figure that out, yes, he would definitely be able to. Hope you guys like this. Send me more questions on Twitter at MrRhexx. I need more of you guys over there. Please, man. Come to my Twitter. Anyways, I'm really glad you guys are enjoying these videos. I'm obviously happy to oblige. It's really fun. Yeah, have a nice day, boys.